Whenever we've brought in MMA talent, it's been a real mixed bag. Some people get it and some people don't. I feel like the skill set to be a great WWE superstar is a lot more varied than obviously being an MMA fighter. Being an MMA fighter, you don't have to worry so much about your promos and your talking. Like, I know that it can help. Certainly Conor showed that it can help. But those are skills that not everyone possesses. Like Ronda Rousey. Yeah, Ronda Rousey obviously was never very good on the microphone. And her actual professional wrestling was not very good either. You know, she wasn't out there delivering really nice drop kicks. She wasn't doing moonsaults and all this kind of stuff. You know, she has got a very specific skill set, but part of that skill set is very mat-based. You know, her main finish in MMA was an armbar. So trying to grab a hold of someone's arm and trying to get them to tap out, that is really what she was bringing to the ring. She was a former UFC mixed martial arts world champion. She was an absolute trailblazer. Dana White said there would not be women in MMA and UFC if it wasn't for Ronda Rousey. The respect that she deserves for that alone is monumental, right? She has absolutely broken down barriers for women in sports. She didn't get any of that respect. In WWE, if you're just not good enough, you're going to get booed. You're going to get booed. We don't care. We just don't care. So, you know, she came in. She was very limited on the microphone. Her matches were not that exciting. Her professional wrestling was not that strong. They had her in a match at WrestleMania 34, made it look amazing because it was just like they do with Logan, rehearsed and produced within an inch of its life to showcase her and make her look amazing. But as soon as they couldn't do that on a regular basis because she was working a full-time schedule, you started to see her limitations. And actually the fans started to see those limitations and it just started to fall apart. Why they never gave her a manager, I don't know. Why they never had someone do the talking for her, I don't know, but they didn't, and I think that really hurt. And it would have been good if she could have picked up a bit more professional wrestling and actually maybe built the drama up in her matches a bit more. I think she tried her best, honestly. I think she tried her best, and I think she got really frustrated with the fans that just seemingly weren't giving her, I think, the opportunity and the chance and the time that she felt she needed or deserved or whatever. And then, of course, she made some comments that just made things worse. And then all of a sudden the relationship with the fans was, you know, tumultuous at best. So I've actually got a real soft spot for Ronda. I feel really sorry for her. I feel like she's someone that really came in with some skills, but equally she's someone that didn't have it. She just didn't have it. Like when the bell sounded, she didn't have it. And that's okay, because she did have it in the MMA world, in the UFC world. So, you know, I look at Conor and I'm like, I don't know, to be honest. I think his promos would be good because he's a very confident talker, but he's got to stay the right side of PG. Now, on Netflix, you're probably going to be able to get away with things a bit more, but you're not going to want to share clips of him just swearing his head off. So we know that he's a good talker. We know that he's never lost for words, but is he witty enough in 2025, 2026 to actually outmaneuver people and say some stuff that's going to get those kind of reactions we're looking for? You know, like those kill shots that were being exchanged between Punk and Seth the other day were absolutely incredible. You know, Seth turning around to Punk saying, "My wife's at home looking after a kid. Not that you know what that's like." Oh. Or like when Seth said to Punk about how he took his ball and went home, and CM Punk was like, "Where's the man? Haven't seen the man in a while. Did she take her ball and go home?" Oh. Do you know what I mean? Like, these are the kind of lines that get the reactions. It's not about swearing. It's not about going in there and swearing. Actually, that is very uncreative. That is actually lowest common denominator. It's anyone can do it. Anyone can go in the ring and say, I'm gonna effing do this, effing do that. There's not really much of a pop to be had there, apart from, oh my god, can you say that now? Really, that's it. It's a lot more to be witty and thought-provoking, actually find those lines, those kill shot lines, you know. Can Conor do that? Does Conor know enough about the wrestlers to do that? Could someone script him, feed him the lines? Maybe, but then is his delivery going to be as good? I don't know. I feel like of all the things to worry about, the promos would probably be the least, because he's a very confident talker. It's just, could he find the lines he needs to find? And then, of course, you get down to the actual matches. What's he going to look like in a match? He's on the small side. I think people will be surprised at how small he actually is. You put him in there against, like, anyone of any decent size, he's going to look tiny. We keep saying this. I don't know why WWE have not introduced a world championship for a lower weight class. Because if you look at the success of Floyd Mayweather and Canelo Alvarez and Conor McGregor, they're all at a lower weight class. In WWE, I feel like we're so out of date. In WWE, you've got 2 world titles. Anyone can go for them. But of course, the bigger guys are going to have, you know, the preference. They're going to be the people that are going to succeed more, because visually, it's a lot easier to buy a bigger superstar being world champion and winning than it is seeing a little superstar doing it. And I feel like you're leaving money on the table. Where's the world championship for the lower weight classes? Where's the world championship for your Finn Balor's, your Johnny Garganos, your Rey Mysterios, your Tommaso Ciampas? Yeah, these kind of people, your Dragon Lees, your Andrades, yeah, your Carmelo Hayeses, like Ilya Dragunov. I mean, you don't have to be, like, tiny. We're not saying put a world championship in for Hornswoggle. We're just saying, like, what about your light heavyweights? What about those people that aren't Braun Strowman or Bronson Reed or Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar? You know? What about those people that are smaller than, say, a Seth or a Punk? Maybe Seth Punk is, like, good enough for world title, but what about your people that are a bit smaller than that? And actually, I think you would be surprised if you see Conor at just how small he is. Like, I don't even know who you put him in there against without it looking a bit weird. He was fighting at lightweight in UFC. Lightweight is like several divisions down from heavyweight. Like, he is small. I mean, well below 205. Everyone, do you know, I think there's only one division in UFC that is above 205. Do you remember when we had the cruiserweight belt? You had to be 205 or less to go for the cruiserweight belt. And actually, I don't think wrestling fans really understand kind of the weights and, like, you know, what does that mean? 205 pounds, I don't know, who's 205? Well, actually, in UFC, I think there's only one division that's above 205. There's only one division above, and that's the heavyweight division. Everything else is below it. So that means only the heavyweights would be excluded for going after WWE's cruiserweight title. Everyone else in UFC would be able to compete for it. So why did we not invest more in that belt? You know, why did we not do more with that and have a belt that was a legitimate world title? If you won it, you can say you're a world champion. I wish we'd have done that. I think there was and I still think there's a real need for it. And I think you could have some banging matches as well. You know, imagine Rey Mysterio being that champion and having, like, him against Andrade or him against Ilya or him against Johnny Gargano, and actually having a belt on the line, having a legitimate world championship. So if you want to catch up with John Cena, you could win that belt and it would count. And all of a sudden, like, you've got a belt that really means something. If you won that cruiserweight belt, it wasn't a recognized world title, and I don't know why. In UFC, we have got, 11 different divisions, and if you win the top title, you are a world champion. You are the world middleweight champion, the world lightweight champion. so on, so on, so on. But in WWE, we do it like different. There's just 2 world titles and that's it. And then the mid-card belts, but again, anyone can go for them. I'd like to see that change, but I don't think it ever will. Someone in that company had that same idea. This is the whole reason why we did the Cruiserweight Classic. This is why we had the Cruiserweight belts. This is why we had a Cruiserweight division. Like, we've seen it throughout the history of wrestling, where it's been tried and it's not worked. But every single time, the execution is flawed. Every single time, the execution is botched. So, yeah, Connor being in a WWE ring is a very interesting conversation. I think it would be a struggle because you could do it, but it's going to have to be against the right person. Size-wise, it's going to look out. And I don't know what his professional wrestling skills would be like. I don't know how he would do with a professional wrestling promo, but I'd love to see it. I mean, it would be money. There's no 2 ways about that. It would definitely get people's interest. But again, you know, he's been convicted, hasn't he? I don't know if it was assault. I don't think it was rape that he was actually convicted of. But he did just have a pretty serious conviction where a lot of companies are backing away from him now. A lot of people are distancing themselves from him. So timing wise, it actually wouldn't be brilliant. But he is still a draw. And obviously there's big rumours he's about to do a boxing match with Logan Paul. And I've no doubt that will get a lot of views. So to say that he's washed or that no one's interested, I think that's not true. But to say that his star power has fallen and that he's maybe not as big a star as he was going back 5 years ago or so, I think that's absolutely true. So quite a few thoughts there on Connor.